Hey, so I got a big smile on my face because I'm so happy that we are finally releasing our orders. We're taking orders now on our new Drone Ocarina. And so this video is to give you 3 quick tips on how to approach this ocarina, which may, be a surprise to you in comparison to a Native American style flute. In general, it's going to play really close to a Native American style flute. All you have to do, put your mouth on it and blow. The sound's produced, no embouchure needed, anything like that. Trick number 1 to this that's different than a Native American style flute is that the notes will bend significantly more than they will on a Native American style flute. Take a listen to this. All these notes do it. Even over here. So, because they bend so much, that's super fun, and it gives you all sorts of abilities to be creative with how you're playing and creating different vibes, different inflections and things that are going to be really unique, especially out in nature, just calling to the owls, everything like that. Super cool. However, when you're playing it, because this is a drone, and this particular one that we've released here, this is a low C drone with a high C melody side. They're an octave apart. So what you want to do is be sure that you are conscious of how much breath pressure you're putting in both sides. So you want to approach it, medium gently at first, and even breath pressure on both sides. Because if you put too much pressure on one side, you're going to probably be playing that side sharper than this side. It takes a real specific ear sometimes to know what's happening. Some people might not hear it at all. Other people will hear it but not know why it's doing that. But if it sounds a little bit off, just practice with different breath pressures. And if like I said, if you're leaning it to one side a little bit and you're blowing harder, and you might decide you want to do that for a cool effect or something, but in general, it's going to push whatever side you're blowing harder on out of pitch with it. And so this developer, he's a pro, man. He's been doing this probably as long as I've been making Native American style flutes. And he specifically made it to where the air channel and the opening at where the air comes out larger on the larger side, in order to make the volume and the pitch match appropriately with the other side, right? So, it makes our job a little easier. Just concentrate on just even breath pressure through both sides, right? If you get all a little excited and you put too much, that sounded okay, but I could hear it starting to push a little bit sharp on the side that I was putting more pressure. Keep that in mind. Try even breath pressure all the way through. Play around with it, but just know that the pitch does shift. Again, you want to know that the pitch is shifting specifically because if you just know that you got a C minor ocarina and you have a C minor handpan, you want to know that you're putting the appropriate energy into this to make it on pitch with the handpan. And because it can bend so much, it puts the responsibility on the player to be able to hear and feel what's on pitch when you're playing with other instruments and with both sides at the same time. So that's the number 1. The other thing that I would like to say about this, just pointers, how to approach it. There's 5 notes on one side. That gives you the full pentatonic minor. These things are so great. I mean, I can't even make this on a wooden flute. That's why I love this so much. I don't make full octave apart on on one flute. It's just, no, I can do a fifth, and that gives us our harmony drones where they're a fifth apart. But a full octave apart, super, super cool. But also a full scale with one hand, right? 5 notes with one hand. Because the fingers are so close together, we can do a full 5-note pentatonic minor scale. That's the full Native American style flute scale, 5-note minor flute scale. So that's super cool. But keeping that in mind, it's going to take some practice to really feel the holes appropriately. And probably when you're first playing, you may miss a note here and there. You know, you got all fingers going at the same time. And there's times where you have to, if you're playing the full scale, your whole hand is off of it. So if your whole hand is off of it, landing appropriately on the right spots, it's going to take a slight learning curve. But, you know, shoot, I've only played this a good handful of times, and, you know, I'm already feeling quite a bit more comfortable than when I first approached it. But it's just getting that muscle memory down and really feeling it. One of the perks that this has is it does have recessed playing holes. You can see that in the light there. So your fingers will seat beautifully in there. 1, 2, 3. And you can see how close of a finger spread that is. There's no issue with small hands, large hands, all of that stuff that people ask about other flutes. There's no issue there. You know, less than 3/4 of an inch finger spacing on the bigger side. That's like any human can cover that. So that's great news. But it's going to take some practice. Really, which I think is the third thing that I want to say, is that you can practice different configurations of how you approach these holes, and it will change the scale a bit. Here's one example that I found. Instead of going straight up here, let's leave the pinky down, and it gives you a different, little bit different scale. So that's cool. You can play around with that. The other thing you can do is if you're feeling like it's too much for you here, it's too much for you to have 5 fingers going over here and 3 over here, you can always cork some holes. I think what I'm going to do, you could use little wooden corks that were the exact size of these holes. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to go online. I'm going to order some clay, right? And depending on how quick you order, hopefully I can get this done before the ocarina gets to you, and I will ship a little dauble of clay with your ocarina, and that you'll be able to break off a couple pieces. And there is types of clay that doesn't dry, right? And so it's kind of like fun tack, if anybody remembers ever what that was. But basically clay that doesn't dry when it's in the air, and that you can just break a little piece off, and you can plug different holes so that you can use less fingers while playing. And say if you plugged the thumb in the pointer hole, then you can move your hands down. You don't have to use your pinky, and you can use these 3 here, same as these 3s here, and that's going to be a lot easier to approach, and it's still going to sound beautiful. One of the very first flute, guess what, I ever played was a Drone Ocarina. It was so long ago, I have no idea where it even came from. But before I even played the Native American flute, somehow that ended up in my hands. And I think it was 3 fingers each side. And so if you're only playing 3 notes, but that feels more comfortable for you at first, then, you know, by all means, you can do that as well. And I'll just play it with just those notes so you can hear how beautiful it'll still sound even without the top 2 notes. Right? So. Pretty awesome, right? So hope that helps you to get started playing your new Singing Tree Flutes Ocarina. Okay, more to come.